may say, why vote for a criminal? But I'll say, how am I a criminal if I was arrested for the Pullman strike, in which many of my working brothers were arrested for as well, and was ordered to be arrested by a Democratic president who was owned by big business. In fact, both parties are guilty of suppressing the working class. How is it not a crime that the common, hard-working people are left to suffer under the rule of greedy bastards that hoard all their money in order to keep their power and dictate how common people live by controlling the government? If you elect me, I won't be bought by those bastards. I, for one, have always been at the side of the people, and I found plenty of unions in my time to help my countryfolk out. I have participated and led many strikes against big business, and I am not ashamed to be called a criminal if helping is a crime. What this party, my party, represents is the common people, and I will enact laws that will benefit the masses, one of them being the suffrage of both man and woman to be equal, since women have been ardently championing equality and have been a leading voice for change in these past few decades. I would also change how the president is elected, as it will no longer be by the electoral college but by the popular vote, which gives the people more power and diminishes the big business powers, since under the electoral college the minority of people get to pick and choose while the masses suffer under plutocracy. I would also abolish child labor, because what kind of Christian country allows its children to be exploited by the greedy, as well as add a minimum wage? No person should be living in poverty or a wretched place if they are hard-working people. I would also abolish the present restrictions upon the amendment of the Constitution, in which people vote on a referendum and they decide on what they want. I would also shorten the workday and fight for a rest day, so that the workers can spend time with family and be happy with loved ones. I would also improve the inspection of factories, mines, and workshops so that no other tragedy like the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire occurs again. I would also implement an income tax, as there is no way in hell that the rich are paying their fair share in taxes with their grubby fingers all over the government. I would also abolish the monopoly ownership of patents and grant those who invented the ideas for premiums. In addition to this, I would make a Bureau of Health and Education to help secure that common people can move up the social ladder and be well educated so society can progress forward. I would enact a non-contributory pension for old folk and grant employers insurance, in which it covers illnesses, accidents, and even death. For the fellow people living in territories in the American Empire, I would grant them democratic freedom to govern themselves, unlike what your imperialist kings T.R. and Taft have done. For the unemployed, I would extend government help by hiring those on public works. For the states, I would create employment bureaus so that the government can lend states money without interest to help employ workers. As I stand here today, I ask and hope for your vote. Unlike Wilson, I won't be weak and manipulated easily. I won't be King Roosevelt and become an imperialist and meddle in countries' affairs in which we have no business being in. I won't be like Taft, big and unmotivated, who is controlled by the rich. I will be Debs, the man who fought and will continue to fight for the common man. And if I'm elected, I will be by the people's side and work for the people who have granted me this power. Why would anyone even want to vote for Wilson? His negatives greatly outweigh his positives, unlike me where my positives greatly outweigh my little to no negatives. Why would you vote for a man that is supported by Cypress McCormick, a man who was against Lincoln and the anti-slavery Republicans? McCormick is also against unions and equality, things we need in order to progress forward. Don't you want equality? Voting for someone with dyslexia makes much room for problems, because this makes him look weak and could easily be fooled by a single word, as well as he can't even get letters and numbers straight. What makes you think he'll get his facts straight? Wilson's dad was even a Champlain for the Confederate Army, who were traitors to the Unions. In no way should Wilson be trusted, as he can be as big of a traitor as his dad. Wilson is also inexperienced. Who wants an inexperienced man running the country that can't even fight for reforms? The party bosses gave him his nomination, as they pulled all the strings for Wilson, further proving he'll be a puppet. As well as, how can you trust a man who's had an affair with another woman? How do you know if all his talks are honest? How do you know if he won't sell the hard-working American people to the lazy businessmen Now, here's a man who didn't even want to be here to begin with. Doing a favor for a friend is not the same as doing a favor for the people. Taft is no leader. He has no ambition to make change. There was little to no change with him in office, and a low amount of bills were passed, not to mention the Ballinger-Pinochet affair, which contributed to the split of the Republican Party and him siding with the more conservative part. This country and our people deserve equality and freedom. Taft has refused to give blacks equal rights and federal jobs. Is this what equality means to you? No, it means everyone has a fair chance to live a life full of opportunity. We fought for freedom we have today. Nobody wants a man who was given power by his predecessor and was unable to live up to his friend Teddy Roosevelt. As well as the people need someone who will stand with them, and Taft's lack of action in office is only proving how little he cares for our nation and what we stand for. Taft lost the primaries, and the party bosses chose him, not the people. This decision was made without you, and that is not what our government represents. If one thing is for certain, I'm fighting for all of you, and your voices will be heard. As for Roosevelt, what can I say about him? He is strong, willing to work for the people, has that smile, and is a complete phony. He should not be called a progressive person at all. He is just merely masking the symptoms of an already abusive and broken system. Look at how he handled the miners' strike. He might have sided with the people, but what policies did he enact to prevent the abuse of the miners? None. He didn't even want to acknowledge the union that was fighting for the rights of these people. Also, do we all not remember the promise he made to us when he was elected a second term? This man shouldn't be trusted anymore. When he was president, he acted like a king. Look at the imperialist tendencies this man has when he supported rebels in Colombia just so the U.S. can put a puppet to make a canal, as well as his arrogance to listen or comply with what Congress says. He disregards the decisions of Congress, even saying they do not have the power to make him. You can say that he is a great man because he won a Nobel Peace Prize for bringing peace between Russia and Japan, but if you look closer, Roosevelt disregards the people living in Korea and just lets Japan annex them. As well as this man hasn't been in this country in years, as he left his people to go hunt and hang out with kings and queens. What makes you say he hasn't changed or his imperialist mind hasn't gone more deranged? Unlike Teddy, I will not meddle with foreign countries just to be dragged into a conflict. I would focus solely on the American people and improve the way of life, as that is what a president should be, not a king. By the people and for the people.